What's going on, everyone? So the Los Angeles Lakers, and particularly JJ Redick, has really done a great job of maximizing Jaxson Hayes and making him look like a serviceable center, right? Last season under Darvin Ham, yeah, he had his moments, he had his games, but he was rough, right? He looked like a guy that was like, well, why are you even keeping this guy? Why is he sticking around? And JJ Redick, a guy that was very familiar with Jaxson Hayes, played alongside Jaxson Hayes with the New Orleans Pelicans, really has done a great job of just making Jaxson Hayes a good, serviceable big man. Not great. He's not elite. He's not a guy that I trust as the primary big, which is something that I've talked about. Even through the last 3 games, I've talked about how I don't believe Jaxson Hayes is your second best center if you're being serious. I like Jaxson Hayes a lot, and I love what JJ Redick has been able to do with Jaxson Hayes. And I did all my player breakdowns and just breakdowns of the season and the offseason and stuff. And I talked about how, when Christian Wood is healthy and when he gets back, he's more likely than not going to be your second center, right? He's probably going to be the guy that comes off the bench as your big. And he also is the guy that gives you the closest Anthony Davis impression. Obviously, he's not Anthony Davis by any stretch of the imagination, but as far as the offensive repertoire, his ability to stretch the floor, knock down the three, knock down the mid-range, score around the basket, put the ball on the deck. Even defensively, he's not Anthony Davis, but he's a guy that, as long as he's not on an island, he's actually a serviceable, he's solid help defender. He's a guy that can kind of clean up if need be. He can defend out on the perimeter, right? Defend in the pick and roll. Like, there's value in Christian Wood. So I do think Christian Wood is going to kind of operate as that primary backup big once he really gets in the swing of things. Even when he comes back, I do expect the Lakers to kind of slowly wean him into it. And then Jaxson Hayes, right? Like, there's the argument, do you trade Hayes? Do you add him as like a salary dump at some point? I don't mind keeping Hayes. I like Hayes a lot. And I think as your third big, in a role where he's asked to come in, give you high energy, give you a different look, floor running big, that can be a lob threat, apply some rim pressure, and give you, 12 minutes a night. That's perfect, right? But as soon as you start having to really rely on him and you need him to be night in and night out, this consistent sort of, as close to a double-double guy as possible, I think that's where you're going to fall short. Now, hopefully, fingers crossed and big fingers crossed, the Lakers are able to pull off a trade, go get a Walker Kessler or a Valanciunas or something like that. Go get a big man that you can count on and rely for now and hopefully next several seasons. Hopefully it's not something that's just this season. Particularly Walker Kessler, because he's a guy that now you have your center for the next 15 years potentially, right? And I don't hate the idea, again, of keeping Jaxson Hayes. Jaxson Hayes is 24 years old, right? A lot of people didn't want to get rid of like Colin Castleton or even like Christian Coloco. People are like, oh, Coloco, right? Like, and all that stuff. But Hayes is the same age as all those guys, right? He's 24. You could spend another, year or two really developing him, and then maybe he can be, post Anthony Davis. Maybe he can evolve into that backup center, right? To where, let's say you pull off a trade for a Walker Kessler, right? Well, you could use a backup center. Maybe Hayes can be that guy, right? And he can kind of be, Anthony Davis during the LeBron tenure is playing the center spot. And then when LeBron retires or whatever happens, like he ends up 80 slide into the 4 and say Kessler ends up moving into the starting unit. Now you got Hayes as your primary backup big, right? Hopefully by that point he's evolved into that, right? So I don't hate the idea of keeping him. I do like the idea of Christian Coloco more if he can get healthy and he can kind of get himself right and together, because he's just a better shot blocker, better rim protector, and I like him more versatility-wise. But until we actually know what we're going to get from him, I do think it is in our best interest, at least this season, to keep Jaxson Hayes. I still believe, I think everyone, the consensus is, I don't think that this is like some groundbreaking conversation, but I do believe that the Lakers need to pull off some trade for a center, right? I'm all for the Lakers being patient. Take your time, right? Evaluate this roster. See what do you really need. See if asking prices start coming down as we move on, especially if the Lakers keep winning, right? It's tough when, if you were 1-3 right now, right? Panic starts setting in, things get a little, but when you're 3-1, it's a lot easier. And now all of a sudden, say 10 games in, you're, 7-3. Right now, again, you feel a little more comfortable. You feel a little more confident. You're feeling like, okay, like we might be able to do something here a little bit, right? Like you can take your time. You're now approaching these conversations for various trades and stuff, not in a position of desperation, but in a position of like, hey, we'd love to upgrade. It's not a necessity. Like we're fine. Like we're a top 3 seed right now, right? Like it's just like, hey, if you can maintain that, then the pressure of you needing to pull off some huge trade kind of goes away. So now you can, it still doesn't mean you don't pull off a trade. It still doesn't mean that you don't end up going and getting a guy like I said, a Walker Kessler or Valanciunas or something. But I do think no matter what, right, like the Lakers could win their next, by the trade deadline, say you're 42 games in, the Lakers could be 40-2 during that stretch, and I still think you go get a center. I like that. That is a no-brainer in my opinion. That is one of the positions that I just don't see all of a sudden we don't need anymore, even with Christian Wood. Like I said, I think Christian Wood is going to do wonders, but he'd also do wonders at the power forward position. Right? He'd also, like him being LeBron's primary backup, I think would go a long way too, especially alongside a Walker Kessler. Right? I think now you're cooking. Now you're talking. Right? But, Jaxson Hayes, to kind of keep it on him and keep the discussion and narrative on him, I do think that Hayes is a guy that he still has a lot of room for growth. He still has a lot of room for potential. He has some just bonehead moments. He has some just moments where you're just like, come on, dude. Like, what are you doing? Like, he had a sequence where he had the basketball, and it's like he just, like, panicked and just, like, kind of threw the ball away. And then he followed that up with coming down the court and ended up kind of just throwing the ball at the ground. And I believe we ended up getting it that time. But, like, it was just like, dude, 1, stop leaving your feet. 2, like, give up the ball soon. Like, whatever you got to do, be patient. Wait for the guy to come. Just don't panic. Right? And it's just like, the problem is the IQ. He just doesn't have the IQ necessary. He's not comfortable in certain key spots, in certain key moments, right? When he's just allowed to be that springboard out there and that athletic guy, and he's just running the floor and gets to just be the lob threat and flush it home and stuff, he's fine, right? But as soon as you need him to start expanding and doing stuff, and you need him to, he gets caught up with the ball, and it's like, okay, he's got to do something with it. He's got to make a play. He becomes petrified. He's not capable of being that guy for the Lakers. And again, when him being the primary big, him being the only other big man besides Anthony Davis, your hands are kind of tied. You need him to be a specific type of player. You need him to be a specific type of role. And I really like what he was able to do the previous 3 games. Not so much the Suns game. He was bad in the Suns game. But the reason I wanted to talk about this is because it really does highlight the Lakers' need. That even 3-0, right? Like, and we didn't lose because Jaxson Hayes got 11 minutes or whatever it was, right? Like, we didn't lose because of that, but it didn't help, right? Like, him giving you goose eggs, it doesn't help. You need somebody that you can rely on night in and night out, game in and game out, somebody that you can trust giving you 15 plus minutes a night, and is going to hold your own. Is like, hey, Anthony Davis getting rest, right? Time to really push the pedal to the metal for the backup, right? Or LeBron is getting rest and, you're slotting AD at the 4, so you need your backup to come in and really be able to hold his own and be able to do the things necessary to help lead the charge for the Lakers. And I don't think Jaxson Hayes is that guy. I think as your backup big, that you're just like, hey, just go out there, be high energy, give 110% effort, right? Maximum effort, and the wise words of Deadpool, right? That is what I think you need him for. And that's where I think Jaxson Hayes really thrives in, is in that limited, like Taurean Prince last year, right? In 15 minutes, he was great, and the Lakers were fantastic. As soon as he had to play over 15 minutes, he was terrible, and the Lakers were terrible. It's kind of how I feel about with Jaxson Hayes, right? Small doses, limited minutes, limited role. You're not asking for him to do anything crazy. Just play your game. I think he's great, and he can thrive in that. But in the games where it's like, hey, we really need something out of you. We need you to figure some stuff out here. I just don't think he's that player capable of doing that. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass a question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? How do you feel about Jaxson Hayes? Are you high on Jaxson Hayes? Are you not? Do you think, get rid of him? Do you think, no, keep him, but as the third big, you still got to go get another center? How do you feel? Whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. We enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.